Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Horror Debate. I'm Michael Mandy and he is Rowdy Jeff.
This week we're continuing on the 8 films to die for, right, Mike?
After Dark films.
From 2007. This week, a real gem of a flick, Tooth and Nail. Not the Dawkins song, by the way.
No.
Just not to confuse anything. This one is directed by Mark Young.
With, I wouldn't really say starring Michael Madsen, but he was a special guest.
Okay, straight off the bat, anytime I see Michael Madsen, I'm looking for the bad acting.
Yeah.
Straight right off the top, right? But
Okay.
in this one, he wasn't in it enough. And when he was in it, there wasn't enough acting to be done to really screw anything up, right?
Exactly. He couldn't do anything wrong to this film.
I mean, he could flub a line, but he only had like 3,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So it was okay. He did okay.
He
That's
did
what we got to
okay.
take. We got to take small doses of the Madsen.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Small doses of the Madsen.
Small doses of the Madsen. Anyway, what are we dealing with here?
That's funny. You want to know something funny? He had something to do with this film too in the what was it? The production or the what? I remember seeing his name somewhere.
Yeah.
He had something else to do with this besides just acting in it.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, what are we dealing with, Mikey?
You know who also was in this
Mikey,
movie?
get to the plot.
You know who was also in this movie that had a bit part that you probably didn't know? Robert Carradine.
Woo!
Wow. No, but I mean, Robert Carradine, he was the head nerd in Revenge of the Nerds, and he's also been in tons of other films.
Dude, I recognize you right off the top. I said, this film has got quite a few recognizable faces in it.
Right, yeah.
You know, right off the top.
Even if you didn't know Robert Carradine,
Yeah.
you probably went, oh yeah, that guy, I know him.
Yeah, every time I hear Carradine, I think Kung Fu.
Yeah, me
Right?
too.
Like immediately, you know? But, yeah, no, I noticed it right off the bat.
Also, the poster. What do you think of the poster for this film? The skull
Cool.
butterfly thing?
It looks
the
like
skeleton?
a concert T-shirt is what I said.
Yeah.
Looks like something, like you come out of the show going,
something,
check this out.
like Motorhead would have.
Yeah.
The cover of the new Motorhead album or something.
I likes it.
All right.
So what are we dealing with, Mike?
What we're dealing with here is this movie takes place in the near future where it's not a nuclear war that decimated everyone.
Nucleoid.
It's lack of gasoline.
Right.
So it causes the economy to collapse, and so now it's
was this a documentary of today?
It's next week, man.
Next week, yeah. Because I paid last night on my way. I was coming back from Mikey's place. This is a true story. I got to say this right quick. I'm coming back from Mikey's place. I'm running low on the go-go juice, right? So I stop in Benicia to pick up some gas. I'm paying $4.08 a gallon for regular.
Yep, isn't that nuts?
Right off the freeway. That's why. Because
Yep.
they figure for the convenience, they're going to stab it to you even more, right?
We're having a gas problem, so this film's kind of topical.
But I didn't see Michael Madsen anywhere, so I figured I deemed it safe to pick up some gas.
So anyways, the plot of this film is kind of almost a survival kind of film. You know that genre back when Mad Max came out? It was, nomad people scourging the land, living,
Right.
and a few people get together, and then a few people kind of want to move in. And so this is our territory. Almost like Dawn of the Dead with the shopping mall.
Didn't remind me of Dawn. Well, a little bit, maybe just because of the large facility they're in and things trying to get in.
Right, yeah, the concept of, we have forged our own little society here, and someone's trying to mess with our society.
But basically what you got, to break it down, is you got a group of people that are survivors from this whole thing, right?
Yeah, living in
people killing each other over fuel.
Yeah, living in this abandoned hospital.
Yeah, hospital, that's right.
And then a bunch of Raider fans try to break in.
Bunch of Raider
Trust me, I go to Raider games, man. I tell you, it looks just like them.
That's the black hole, folks. That's
Exactly.
what it is. I got it. Okay.
And these people are cannibals, and so they're just looking for appetite.
They're looking for food.
They're looking for
this
dinner.
This is a survival thing. These people who are trying to survive inside this hospital, they're
led
grouped
by
together,
Robert Carradine.
Led by what's the nerd,
Robert
right?
Carradine,
by
right.
Robert Carradine, right? And he gets basically some of his people are out like walking the streets, and they come across a guy who's got his throat slit on the ground,
right?
And they come across a girl who's like somewhat unconscious.
Yes,
right.
They're saving her for dessert.
And they thought she was kind of cute.
So they bring her home.
So they bring her back. They bring her in, and they say, well, I don't want to dump her anywhere, so we'll bring her back, maybe rehab her,
and so she
can join the group and help out.
Joins the group,
right?
And she says, "Here's what we're dealing with. Those guys are cannibals out there.
Yeah,
and they ate my family.
Right.
And now they're coming after us.
Yes. So what we end up with is,
and they're led by Michael Madsen,
an extra person joining the group, and then guess what happens, Mike? Yeah. We don't want to go into that because it'll spoil the whole thing for you.
So,
but I'll tell you what.
It's them trying to hold the Michael Madsen's group out and prevent them from being eaten.
Yeah. And who's the other guy? The I've seen him before. He was in The Condemned with Stone Cold.
Was it Ryder Strong?
No, it wasn't Ryder. It was Vinnie Jones.
Oh, okay.
Vinnie Jones was in The Condemned. I saw him immediately. You know, he's the guy that gets later on locked in the room by the little girl. I mean, I won't go into all deep, but he gets, you know, how she kind of lures him into the room.
Yeah, because like my wife, she would say, "Oh yeah, that guy Ryder Strong. He's on Veronica Mars."
Oh, okay. Ryder Strong. Is that what you just said?
No, his name is Ryder.
Ryder. Okay, gotcha. So anyway. So, yeah. So what do you think of the acting, Mike? I mean, Michael Madsen's in it, right? So it's already got 2 checks against it.
Yeah, but then Robert Carradine did a pretty good job.
He did.
Too bad he wasn't in it longer, but he gave a little bit of professionalism. I don't want to say star power, because, you know, when you think of a star, Robert Carradine is not the first person I think of, but he added, I guess, a little bit of professionalism, a little class to it. You know, you knew, okay, he's going to do a good job.
Right.
And, you know, because he
did he do a good job?
Yeah, he did, for what he did. He was the oldest person, and everyone else was, of course, good-looking teenagers.
Okay, so what did you think about, like, the cast in general? Like, let's just talk about the group of guys and girls that are locked inside this hospital trying to survive. What did you think of that group?
I thought they were pretty cool. I mean, you know, and then this girl that they bring in, you know, the one guy, I got a bad attitude, and, you know, we should focus on security, and, you know, just a lot of different people trying to get organized.
I had a very difficult time trying to figure out the relationship at first between Carradine and the Dakota character. I had a very difficult time. Is this brother and sister?
Oh, no.
Are they sleeping together? Then they showed them in, you know,
they're sleeping together.
Yeah. But I was like, well, it was kind of a weird kind of thing going on there. I could tell they were connected somehow. You know, and yeah, she did a fantastic job. I thought the Dakota character, played by Nicole DuPort, right? And she did. I thought she did a fantastic job. She actually ended up to be more the lead in the whole movie.
Well, it's funny because when this movie started out, you think you know where it's going, and then all of a sudden, when someone in the middle of the night gets killed and there's nothing but blood left on the ground, and they, oh my God, you're thinking. You know, I was thinking at least, oh, this is going to be which one of these people is the murderer, and then you bring in the outside.
No, see,
you know, and so
I knew where it was going at first. Yeah. At first, it was going absolutely nowhere, because the plot took a while to develop, and this was very unevenly paced. I felt it took so long to get going. Then you'd have this little bit of a, oh yeah, now we're getting into some story. Now things are rolling. You know, things are clicking, and then all of a sudden, okay, now we're going to develop this other thing going on, right? And that's going to take a little while. And then you get a little bit more things happening, you know. So for me, it was like up, down, up, down, up, down, you know.
Okay.
But that's okay.
It was all right.
It was okay. It was just a little unevenly paced, a little boring in certain places, I thought. A little too much blah, 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 you know, as far as the jabber goes. Yeah. But I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I actually kind of dug
I didn't think the pacing was wrong, but...
it wasn't wrong. It was just uneven, I thought. Okay. You know, it took forever to do certain things, and other things were jammed down your throat.
Well, because the whole point was, you know, nothing happens during the day, but you're just dreading night's going to come.
Yeah.
And stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so that... sense of impending problem.
Right.
Night's coming. What are we going to do? We should do this. No, we should do this. What should we do? No, we should. You know, it's just that sense of negative anticipation, shall we say.
Yeah.
So I think that's what the daytime... It also, you know, you didn't know what was going on at first. Like I said, I thought it was going to go here, and then no, we're going here.
Were they the most ridiculous-looking Raider fans you've ever seen, though? I mean, these guys...
I think they were watching too many episodes of Mad Max.
This was a Mad Max-style movie. Now, okay, which brings me to my next problem.
The Road Warrior. Awesome film.
No, the Road Warriors were a tag team back in the 80s and 90s, dude. Don't
Don't
confuse us with wrestling, dude.
Hey, those wrestling guys copied
Hawk and Animal were the
Warrior.
best tag team ever, dude. Don't even go there. Anyway, check this out.
Road Warrior movie came out before them wrestling.
Yes,
guys.
but they had nothing to do with the Road Warrior movie. Okay, these guys would have whooped Mel's ass. Okay, bottom line.
Well, they stole the name.
Listen. Okay. Here's my other problem with the movie, okay? You're talking about the whole Mad Max vibe, okay?
Okay.
What are we watching here? We are watching one of the 8 films to die for. Okay? Now, we've already had the deaths of Ian Stone, which we kind of said was sci-fi.
Uh-huh.
We had the Tremors ripoff. which was Unearthed, right? Which we kind of thought was more sci-fi than horror. In a way, right?
It was like a monster movie from the 60s.
Now we end up with this, which is kind of still on the edge of that sci-fi action kind of thing.
Yeah, like the Road Warrior vibe.
How is this? I mean, okay.
How are these Horrorfest films?
Is this going to be like the 8 films to sci-fi out to next year?
These are not films.
What's going on here?
You know, so
we're talking 3 out of 8 now.
Yeah, Horrorfest.
3 out of 8.
Yeah.
Who's running this After Dark joint?
Well, I don't know. But
you know,
these are not horror films.
No. You know, and that's what bummed me out about the whole thing. Now, taken separately from that, not a bad idea and not a bad film. I like I said, I enjoyed most of it. You know, but it's not fitting in the category that we expect it to when it's labeled.
It's not a film that belongs in something called Horrorfest.
That's right. That's right. Now, if I was in a Horrorfest and I'm sitting here watching this, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's horrible?
You know, I mean, yeah. Okay, there was some blood. There was a little bit of gore, not a lot.
That was pretty cool when he broke his leg and the bone was
I thought that was cool, and she shoved it back in the leg,
that was
dude, and had to take some of it out. You know, I had to like cut some of it off. That was cool.
That was kind of all right.
Yeah, but that wasn't horror, though.
No.
I mean, we're talking like CSI stuff here almost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So anyways, this is basically in the Mad Max genre, the Road Warrior genre. What are we going to give it?
A hard time.
How was it? I mean, overall,
overall, it was an enjoyable film. Like I said, I think the pacing screwed with me a little bit more than it did with you because, you know, I didn't really need to listen to all the jibber jabber back and forth between the guys inside the hospital, figuring out who the leader is, blah blah. This, it all seemed kind of worthless. The blonde that shows up, the outsider who comes in, I thought she did a respectable job. Rachel Miner, I believe is her name. And she did a respectable job. I don't know. There was just a lot of like stuff that didn't really matter. It just seemed like there was a lot of filler in there. Like they were trying to make an 80-minute movie into a 90-minute movie or something like that. You know what I mean?
The director, Mark Young, this is his 4th film he directed, but he on this film he directed and wrote and even edited it. And
sometimes that's a problem because you get too close.
That's what we were talking about. Another film that we were reviewing where the director is the editor or the director is the writer.
Yeah.
They're too personal, and a writer believes that almost every word they write. You can't take out that one word. Right. It's too personal.
Yeah, you got to have that outside influence saying, you know what, that sucks.
Or just that's not really necessary.
Or it doesn't fit. Or there's a bunch of things they could do. But the bottom line is this. As an After Dark horror film, this is no good. As a film, by its own merits, it's okay. I mean, it's okay to good. Okay?
If I walked into Blockbuster and I was bored and I saw this sitting and and it had nothing to do with After Dark or the label or whatever, it just was sitting up there and I'd say, wow, cool cover.
But remember when the film started? Now we had the whole 28 Days Later vibe going on.
Yeah.
Except when they're narrating it and they have to explain to you what's happening about the gas and everything. I started to go, whoa, this could be cool. Because they're showing corpses in cars rotting. They're showing just all this turmoil throughout the city.
What do you feel about narration in movies?
I think it's good in this situation because if we didn't have narration in this movie, we wouldn't have had a clue as to what was going on, Mikey.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they did it right in this film because it didn't overbear everything. You know what I mean? If you would have just jumped into the story of this film with Carradine and Rachel Miner and all these guys, you wouldn't have had a clue what they were doing.
But I mean, couldn't it have been solved by having Robert Carradine sit everyone down, show the pictures of the corpses laying around and everything, and just have him say, okay, it's been 4 years since we ran out of gas and the world destroyed itself. How are we doing with our supplies, guys? I'm just making that up off the cuff, by the way.
That's one way to do it.
See, or would you rather... It was a morning when we ran out of...
Actually,
do you like
it depends on the movie. It depends on the movie and how it's implemented. I thought it was done very well in this movie because it was short, sweet, and to the point.
That's the thing. A lot of directors use that over, narration to give you so much information, and after a while, too much information.
Yeah, you gotta
show me.
You feel like you got to be taking notes,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But
I don't like that.
This cut to the bone.
Yeah.
This was right to the point.
It didn't bug me that much.
Didn't bug me at all. I thought in this film it was good. I've seen other films where, like you said, it's far too overbearing to deal with.
Right.
So it was fine. I was torn on this one. Okay, really torn on this one as far as a rating goes because, like I said, there's a lot of things I liked about it. Didn't really fit our category, but there's a lot of things I liked about it, and there's kind of a few things I didn't like so much about it. I'm going to give this film a 2.
Okay.
Okay, I thought it was well done, but to be in this After Dark thing, not happening.
Okay, so as a Horrorfest film, you're giving
as
it
a horror
2.
film in general.
Right.
Okay.
But as a film itself.
As a film itself,
If you were just on a panel and someone said, "Hey, here's my son's stupid
I think
film,"
it's still
what
a
do you
2.
think? It's still a 2.
I think it's still a 2. I don't think it was that good. It wasn't that over the top to me. You know. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it, but it's a 2.
I had a good time with it. The pacing didn't really bug me that much. The narration wasn't so over the, too much information. I had a good time with it.
Only because you're a Raider fan. Only because you're a Raider fan and you saw your folks from the Black Armpit.
Those are my peeps.
Those
right?
are your peeps, baby. They eat each other. You know that, right?
That they do.
See?
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of cool. I enjoyed it. As a Horrorfest film, like I said, it's not a horror film, but if you're just wondering what should we watch tonight, in terms of the production, the acting, the story, and the cast, I'm definitely going to give it a 3, a strong 3.
I am concerned about the precedence that this kind of thing is. I mean, it's happening too much now, where we're seeing more genres invade
other genres.
Well, yeah, and you have this horror festival. And this is not horror. And we've been through 3 films thus far, including this one, that are not fitting in the category.
Yeah.
So what's going on here?
It's funny, I was doing some research on this Horrorfest thing, and someone posted that this year's crop of films did not make as much money as last year's crop of films. And I wonder why. Gee, maybe it's because...
They're not horror films?
Yeah, they're not horror
Well,
films.
some of them are, but...
And they're not to die for.
No.
So,
However, I saw enough spark in a couple of them this year. If they could perpetuate that, make more of those types of movies. I mean, not exactly the same, obviously, but keep it in the genre and get creative like those other 2 films did. I'm talking about Mulberry Street and Lake Dead. We could have something here. I mean, those were enjoyable films. I got a howl out of both of those.
I mean, you didn't like Nightmare Man?
Oh. Mike, don't get me started.
You got to listen to that if you haven't heard that one.
Yeah, you got to listen to that debate. But, I'm just worried about this whole thing. It's a great concept. It's marketed very well. I love the graphics they use. I love the whole thing about it. It's bringing a fun, kind of social vibe back to the horror film.
Yeah.
But can we watch horror films?
Yeah.
Can we keep the sci-fi and whatever else out?
My own problem is just deliver what you promise. You promise films that are unrated, that are too intense for the normal public consumption.
So far, we've seen 2 under-budgeted for public consumption.
Exactly. That's what they are. Most of these are first-time film directors with no budget.
Yeah. So I'm a little worried about the whole thing. I'm going to give them till next year. Yeah. I'm going to see what they do next year. If we get westerns next year in our horror, I quit.
That's right.
I will not watch any more After Darks.
All right. So I'm Michael Mandy. He's Rowdy Jeff. We'll talk to you next week at the Horror Debate.